Hi everybody, I am Mike Martin. Welcome to episode 58 of our video spotlight with John Fanning as usual. Hi. And we have a special guest today, Jordan Ferrier, who is the head winemaker at Toasted Head Winery out in California. Yes. So welcome.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. We're just going to ask you a few questions about the wine and let us that you tell us anything you'd like. My first question is, where is Toasted Head based exactly? Where are we?
Well, we've always been out of the primary fruit source is out of Dunnigan Hills in California, and for a long time it was actually an estate wine, so it was actually estate bottled. But let's be honest here, people don't know where the heck the Dunnigan Hills are. So we've basically gone to California appellation. Sure. In fact, we're probably going to go to California appellation on everything, just so everybody's very, California, it's got a bear. California's got a bear. I think it's a good move there. Yeah. But the Dunnigan Hills are actually on the back side of the mountains from Napa. So if you're in Napa and you drive over the hills going the opposite direction of Sonoma into the Central Valley of California, the very large Central Valley, you're going to first hit Dunnigan Hills, which are on the back side. So it's coming into the Central Valley. It's north of Sacramento, and quite a bit. Say,
is that Modesto? Is that up in there?
No, that's very far south from us.
Okay.
So Modesto, it takes you a couple hours to drive down to Modesto from there. We get a bit of the influence from the Delta breezes, so it cools off in the evening. Not as much influence as you get, say, in Lodi, which is where it cools off quite a bit more from the Delta. You get an onflow from the ocean that comes through this big gap right there through the Sacramento or San Francisco area, right up to Sacramento River Delta, and it cools off that whole region. So, which is very nice because it can get pretty hot up there.
Yeah, Central Valley, absolutely.
And in fact, that's actually what designated Toasted Head Chardonnay the way it is, because it's a warmer region. This isn't some place that makes very elegant, lithe Chardonnay. It just doesn't work.
Not Chablis.
No, this is a big, bold Chardonnay. It does better when it ripens up a little more. You get more of the white peach, apricot kind of flavors out of it with the higher ripeness.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really matches well with that is, a lot of oak.
Yeah.
And you know what? After we were working on this for a while, long time ago, this is before my time, of course, they were working on it and really established that, this style works very well with this Chardonnay that we've got, and in fact it works very, very well, and it's not something that's out there a lot. You don't see a lot of these big, ripe, juicy, high fruit, yet high oak Chardonnays.
Yeah.
A lot of them tend to go toward more of the sweet and the buttery style there.
Yeah, I mean the oak is not for everybody, but there's definitely an audience. I mean, there's a huge audience for it.
And could you explain a little bit how the name Toasted Head actually ties into the barrel program and the oak usage?
Yeah, the barrel has a flat ends, and it's got the round body. Those ends are called the heads of the barrel. So when they actually make the barrel, they'll fold it in, and they'll actually, the last part of the process is getting those heads into the barrel, getting them all hooped up and properly chimed up and everything, so that they're properly inserted. So you can toast the head or not toast the head. And with French oak, typically you don't toast the head. With the American oak, you do typically toast the head. And it's based on what you want to do and achieve with that barrel. And so, it was just alluding to the oak and saying, yes, this is definitely an oaky wine. And you should definitely, if you're an oak lover, go after this thing. It says right on there, barrel aged, handcrafted.
So this is 2010 Chardonnay, which is definitely Toasted Head's flagship. And
yes, definitely.
Majority of the production, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it works really well with, if you like something to go with poultry. This is a killer wine to bring home for Thanksgiving. This is the kind of wine that really holds up nicely with food. It's non-malolactic fermentation, meaning that there's that secondary fermentation after the alcohol fermentation. So that retains a lot of the crispness and the brightness, lively acidity. Really works well with food and holds up a lot better than most of the more elegant Chardonnays. So it's it's a distinct style.
One of the questions that we get asked a lot, people are looking for an oaky Chardonnay or an oaky buttery Chardonnay. Maybe you can explain, what gives obviously you've explained what gives the oakiness, but a buttery Chardonnay, where that comes from, how that's made.
Well, the buttery character comes from the malolactic fermentation. So the buttery character, during the malolactic fermentation, what happens is after the primary fermentation is done, they will typically, not always, but typically inoculate with a bacteria, malolactic bacteria. And these are very specific bacteria that ferment malic acid to lactic acid. They also consume a whole host of other different bugs and different metabolites. So the idea is to end malolactic fermentation with what they call a nutrient desert. So it stabilizes the wine. You do it for reds so that you can sit it in a barrel for 2 years and not worry about it spoiling. For white wines, one of the things they'll do to get the buttery character is partway through that fermentation, toward the end, it generates sometimes, some strains generate a lot of what they call diacetyl, which is the same chemical that you get in buttery popcorn. So it generates this and it starts to use, it's really intense. If you stop the fermentation at that point by adding sulfur dioxide, SO2, to the wine, to stop it and to stabilize the wine, that's really kind of the ending point of that phase of the wine. Then you go into the maturation phase. If you add SO2 during the generation of that diacetyl, the butter, then the malolactic fermentation isn't going to then consume the diacetyl. So it's a very distinct decision on the winemaker's part to make it buttery or not.
Okay.
But that's through a fermentation character and through strain selection or lack of strain selection, whatever, how you want to do it. And you'll see that in red wines sometimes. You'll always see a buttery character in there. Typically it's from that. It can come from some of the yeast, things like that.
Okay, very good.
So how much time, does this spend? It's all French oak?
No, it's a mixture of French and American, and it's changed throughout the years. And winemakers are like anybody else who like to tinker with things. In fact, I'd say we're master tinkers. We're masters of a lot of different little. Well, actually, we're tinkerers basically, and I'm tinkering with it right now. Tinkering with the oak profile to make it more palatable, to make it more really stand up, be recognizable across the whole brand as this is Toasted Head oak. You know that when you pick up a bottle of Toasted Head, you're getting that oak fix. I want your oak lovers out there. This is your wine. I want you to know that. I want you to pursue it, and I want the people who really like oak, because I know several of them. They will go into the store and they will be looking for their oak fix.
Oh, they ask for it all the time.
And this is it.
And that oak ideal does carry across the whole brand. So this new Untamed project is also.
It's not going to be as oaky. We're trying to be a little more subtle, but a little more, reaching back to our history on the Untamed wines. So, want to discuss those next?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What we've got now is we've got the Untamed White. Toasted Head for many years produced a Viognier and a Syrah, and has done very well with the ranch up there in the Dunnigan Hills with these two varietals. And one of the things that's really hot right now is the different blends. People have started to accept that, hey, it doesn't have to be this label. And it gives a little bit more of a license to the winemakers to play around. So what we do is we try to make these wines so that they bring something out there. And we've got a fire-breathing bear on the front here. I mean, it's a big deal. It's making a statement, and we call this Untamed. So it's kind of different. We want that to be something that's very recognizable, very approachable, and very nice. So this is real wine. The Untamed White is a mixture of Viognier primarily, with some Chardonnay that really, I think, helps out that Viognier character and rounds it out. And then a little bit of Muscat in the back end just to kind of lift, add some aromatics. It's like that pepper on your salad. How many times you've mentioned?
And there's a touch of Viognier in the Chardonnay.
There's a little bit. We find that it really helps to round out the fleshiness of the wine. The aromatics a little bit, and also the apricot character and the very special fruit character. Let's try that out.
Does, just as far as fads go, does your average wine drinker's taste for oak tend to go? Do you see it going back and forth? I mean, you're seing currently a lot of wines designated naked or stainless steel only, and actually using that as bragging rights as opposed to boasting of that amount of oak. Do you think that's something that comes and goes? And
well, I think people are getting more accustomed to saying, I like this, I don't like this.
Just
people are the American palate's changing massively, and we are really going out like beer. I'm an IPA drinker, whole hog.
Not everybody likes.
Not
that.
everybody likes that.
Sure.
What kind of beer do you like? What kind of wine do you like? You go cheeses. What kind of cheeses are your thing? I was in the cheese aisle, Winemaker. Sorry, guilty. You go to the cheese aisle immediately, and you're looking around, and hey, there's Taleggio, and there's okay, cool. I could have dropped $500 in there.
Can do it.
Yeah. Have my wife yell at me. But there's these different things that people are liking. Oak is one of those things.
Yeah.
And some people just love oak. I have a guy I used to work with at the winery that was just massive oak freak. And his comment to me was that the Toasted Head Chardonnay had almost enough oak for him. So that's...
Using these other labelings are just a way to differentiate more clearly for different
I think it's helping
styles.
people out. Hopefully people find what they want, and they, hopefully that wine will be something that they can enjoy, and they can make it something positive in their life. They can come home on a Tuesday after a bad day at work, have a glass of wine, and sit down and relax and enjoy themselves.
So these Untamed wines are brand new to Toasted Head?
The Untamed wines, they've been out for about 2 years, and we're kind of working through the early phases of still defining them. But the idea with the Untamed White is that it's really harkening back to the Viognier.
Very good.
And it's going to be more aromatic. We're still playing around with the blend a little bit, but trying to define it. It's untamed, so it needs to be big. I got a fire breathing bear on the label. You might have noticed, and it's
the oak is in check with this wine.
Yeah, I'm actually probably going to bring the oak forward a little more in later
the profile of
later
the winery.
vintages. Yeah, I want to make sure that people know that's oak.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Toasted Head. It means oak, and this is again coming primarily from the ranch up there in the Dunnigan Hills.
Very good.
So, and we also have a friend for it. If people have been drinking Toasted Head and RH Phillips wines for a long time, they'll have recognized, EXP Syrah. That was our big thing. Yeah,
I remember.
Yeah, we were really big. Van Viognier. We were some of the founding members of the Rhone Rangers, really involved in that for a long time. And this certainly harkens back to our Syrah days. I'm a big Rhonophile, and the goal here is to bring out a wine that's nice and Syrah-like, but also add some other things in there. Syrah and Zinfandel, I think, are the two key components that are probably going to be consistent with it. The Zinfandel is only about 10%, but the Syrah with that little Zin pop really helps. And we're going to be playing around with it quite a bit. This one has Petit Syrah in it. We're going to be bringing in Petit Verdot in a big way in 2011. We had a pretty rough vintage California 2011. And the Syrahs, and some of the other ones in different regions suffered in different ways. But some other wines stood forward. So,
first thing that strikes me on this wine, it's not real jammy. It's dry. I like it. Some of these blends that are popping up all over the place are sweet. Yeah, I don't know if it's from the Syrah or what they're doing, but they're just a little annoyingly sweet. Yeah, but this is not.
It's not too extracted.
No,
it's balanced. It's good. Pretty good.
Yeah, trying to be something that's in that red blend style. That's a little more fun, but still also a serious wine. So hopefully, people who've been keying in on some of those other reds can sort of gravitate, check it out, look into it. If you like Syrah, I think this is a wine that really kind of brings a lot of those characters in, but it's not one of these funky, I've been out at a rave party all night kind of wines. It's
I know John and I both like Rhone wines and
Rhone wines.
Raves,
and raves.
and raves. Cool.
Yeah, it's good. It's a great blend. Very good.
Very nice.
We also have a Merlot and a Cab Sauv and Toasted Head line. So
very cool. And is that the entire line?
That is the entire line. That's it. 5 wines.
That's
pretty
enough.
easy.
That'll keep you busy.
Yeah, it's really hone in on that and try to make it work for
definitely
us.
a consistent style, which makes sense. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we will, Tim, Mr. Riley, will we be carrying all these wines?
Yes.
We have them all?
Absolutely.
All right, very good. So, yeah, come and check these out. I'm sure everybody already knows about the Toasted Hit Chard, but
Yeah, check out the Untamed.
the
wines,
Untamed
absolutely.
wines are really good, and so are the Cab and the Merlot. So, well, Jordan, thanks very much for
Thank you,
stopping
guys.
by.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And
Thanks for coming.
putting a little
Thank you very
spotlight
much.
on the
It's
on
good
the
to
oak,
visit.
You know, so very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.